G'day, folks. So a lot of people ask me about what sort of fridge to buy, and that's a very rubbery question from my perspective because I don't, because they're asking about what isn't going to give me any trouble, and I generally won't see the trouble in a lot of the fridges until they're well out of warranty. Um, you would expect, and they've been around for several years. So, but if you're looking at a second-hand fridge, um, what not to buy, I can tell you one that I would avoid um, in no uncertain terms. A fridge to avoid, and I'm not talking about specific brand here. I'm talking about a fridge because most of these fridges, not most, a lot of fridges are generic. They come from one factory and they have various brands on them. So the manufacturer goes over, or the distributor, sorry, in Australia, whoever it is selling the fridge, goes to the fridge manufacturer in China, and there's a couple of really big ones, and they order their brand to have a specific look about it. Let's have a look at this one that's here. Here's a Primus in this case. Now, this fridge is a few years old, and probably 5-7 years old maybe, and it came in because it's lost refrigerant. Now, the identifying thing about this fridge, and this is just one brand, as I was saying, this manufacturer makes a number of brands of fridges that you should avoid. This is a Primus. This also comes out as in Companion is another, and they're associated companies, Primus and Companions, from what I can understand, but well-known brands because of the long history with camping. But however, they just get this made and they brand it. The identifying thing is the look of this fridge. So you'll see the Primus Companion, Austrail, XTM, Kings, Giant, and Kickass, and one of the Evercool fridges also all came from this manufacturer. And they will specify certain things about it. And one of the things they do is the colour schemes and the type of controller that goes down here. They'll be different, but similarly located. And this fridge has a motor compartment down here. This will look very similar, but again, they'll change the way this works. Perhaps it'll look a little bit different. These are always pretty much the same. These large metal handles are on all these fridges, but they've got this look about them, and you probably look at this thing if you think, yeah, those big blue Kings fridges, that looks exactly like that. Well, so does one of the Evercools, and they just rebadge it to compete. No criticism of Evercool fridges that they make themselves. They usually quite good, except for their Caravan fridge, well, the one they had out a while ago. Anyway, so the thing I'm saying about this is avoid buying a second-hand fridge that looks anything like this. Large metal handles, panel down the side, and because there's a pretty fair chance it's got a gas leak. And these people, when they sell them out on Facebook, you'll generally see in the description that they'll say, I haven't got a cord for it, worked really good last time I used it. There'll be those sort of statements. Very few, if any, say happy for you to see it running. Now, the other gotcha in this, these quite often they become aware that these things are not working properly, that they get cold, but they don't get properly cold. Now, I've got this one here set to +3 and -10, and this has actually got a thermistor problem here, because if you have a look at what the actual temperature is, and this thing's actually quite accurate, I've calibrated it, it's at -18.8. But this thing thinks it's only at -10. And this has been progressively getting worse for the last couple of days. And there's a warning in that. Always check your fridge for several days before you go camping, because this is what happens. By tomorrow, this fridge will be running continuously and it'll be freezing everything in it. Because quite often that fault occurs on the fridge side, and you go out and the next day you wake up and it's at -20 because you threw everything in it last night, took off. All right, so just beware. There's another video about how to test a fridge, second-hand fridge. If you have a look at my other videos about that, that's a beware one. But with this fridge, do not, I'm telling you now, avoid these fridges. Even if you get one that's working, I would still be reticent to buy this style fridge, identified by this look. Vents, the meter here, sometimes the meter's on the other side, but it's still got the vents there. It's still got that motor compartment that's always here, takes up this bottom, sort of third of the thing. And the big metal handles, two doors on top. Just got that boxy look about it. And so King's one's blue, XCM's dark brown. There's all sorts of white ones in the case of the Evercool. So this, now it's not a product quality as far as what's used. This has got a Seacop compressor, so that's as good as it gets. It's the manufacturer. In here, everything's copper, all the plumbing, and there's never any issues down here. I'd never see a leak in here. The problem comes in all of these fridges inside here. They come in here, inside the wall, inside this fridge is all aluminium tubes running around inside the wall behind this fascia, metal fascia. And at some point in here, that copper tube comes through and joins the aluminium. And it's that join that creates the problem, because when these fridges that run low on gas, you can put a sniffer in here and you can pick up the gas leak in the wall. And it's usually in this side, not this side. It's typically in the large side, nearly every time. So I figure there's a join back in here somewhere, and that's where the leak occurs, and it leaks partially into the inside of the cabinet here. So don't avoid these, even if it works. But the test, as I said, if you watch my other video, is you have it set up like this and make sure he's done that quite some time before you get there. So that's the point of this video. Don't buy this fridge that looks like this. Not this brand. All of those brands I mentioned. If the fridge looks like this, I'm sure there's more than this too. I'm just saying the ones that I see the most. But just avoid fridges that look like this, that have those large metal handles, the display on the front, engine compartment on the side with that big panel. They all look the same, because it all comes from the same manufacturer. Some of the companies in Australia, they'll option up different compressors, and the compressors don't fail. It's not an issue about that. They all use good quality componentry, as I said. The issue is the manufacture of the plumbing inside the wall is not done properly, because where the copper joins the aluminium, you've got different expansion contraction rates, and I think there must be something in the way they join those two together, and that opens up a fracture. And it didn't happen on old fridges. All the old Wacos and Domestics and stuff, they don't do that. I have seen leaks internally in some of the later model Dometic fridges, but but it's unusual. It's unusual, but it's not unusual in these. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Anything from a year old, I've seen these people taking them back at 8 months old, with not getting cold. So it's quite a common fault to these things to have a refrigerant leak. Beware if you're going to buy one of these. People are paying $300 and $400 for these things not working, and they're not seeing them working when they go to look at them. They just buy them because they look nice. They've got a bag on them. They look like this one in really good condition, and so people go, "Oh, it must be all right." But you wouldn't buy a car without seeing it running. Don't buy a fridge without making sure that it will achieve working temperatures. You must test fridge down right into the minus values to make sure it's got enough refrigerant, because this fridge, when it came in, could get down to 2 or 3 degrees, but it couldn't get any lower than that. Now it was getting worse, and so, which is why it came in here. But I mean, somebody could have sold this to some poor unsuspecting. You turn the fridge on, it gets cold on the inside initially, but it actually won't get down to the temperatures, and it would have progressively, this temperature, would have been 4 degrees, then 5, then 7, then 8, and eventually it would have just stopped. So beware. All right. My rant is over for these fridges. Okay, thanks for watching. See ya.